guys for tuning in to Soul Water Saturdays, where your soul never thirsts. It is I, Shy, aka Beauty and Bars. Tonight will be another transparent night. I have something to share with you guys, a word that's going to come strictly from my heart. So tune in. Let's see what's going to be talked about today. Well, no, I look a little spooky because it's dark outside and I have a light flashing on my face. So tonight will look like I might be telling a scary story. Don't be spooked. But I do really have a word that I want to come from my heart. I'm outside. Usually I spend my time with the Lord tonight, but I will be bringing forth a word before I get deep into my prayer. So tonight's edition will be called, I didn't have no daddy around when I was growing up. That's why I'm wild and not a giver. No, I'm just playing. Tonight's edition will be called From Damaged to Driven. I will be speaking about how it was growing up without a father and how it affected me. Okay, so with me growing up, I've always known my daddy. When I was a baby, I used to sleep on his chest. And we had that connection. Like, we were connected from the moment I was born. Like, I used to sleep on his chest. I used to listen to his heartbeat. I've always known who he was, and I've always loved him. So I know there are a lot of people that don't even know who their father is. Maybe they were adopted. Maybe they just never knew who he was. Well, with me, I've always known who he is, and I've always had love for him as far as I can remember. Growing up for me was hard because when I was younger, I used to think that my mom was trying to keep my daddy away from me because he hurt her. Because my dad did hurt my mom really bad. She had a very strong trust for him, and he broke that trust from doing stuff to hurt her. And I thought because she was hurt from him, that she wanted me to stay away from him. I didn't know that she was trying to protect me from going through some serious turmoil and pain that I would have never experienced if I would have just let her do what a mother was trying to do. My mother experienced pain from her daddy not being in her life, and she was just trying to protect me from the wrong that I didn't know. I didn't know that my daddy was a part of a lot of things. So, growing up, I figured out that he was a part of the gang life, that, he was dealing drugs, that he was engaging in some, and all kinds of other things that she didn't want me to be a part of. Anyway, as you guys know, or don't know if you haven't watched my videos, my daddy has been in and out of my life since I was a baby. And all I ever wanted when I grew up was for my sons, which I didn't know would be sons at the time, but for my sons never to have anybody in and out of their lives, because that was a hurtful thing for me to see him in and out of my life. There were times that I was hurt because my daddy would come by to pick me up, but my mom wouldn't allow me to go with him. And then the times where I would go with him, things would always happen. Like, I would witness him maybe, raising his hand to a female, or I would witness him being under the influence. If it wasn't some kind of drug, it was alcohol. I would witness him do senseless things that he wouldn't do if he was sober. It's like, dang, I should have just listened to my mom and stayed home. There was a time where my mom allowed me to go with him, and he ended up putting his hands on me in a way that was hurtful to me. And I was scared of him for a long time. I would see him and I would be deathly afraid. Like, I would cry. And I wasn't even young. I was probably like, maybe, I would say 10, 11. And I was like really traumatized from what he did. I was scared of him. I really was. My dad was the type of person that if he said that he was going to do something, if he made a threat that he was going to do it, he was going to do it. He was not a person that put his word out there about threatening somebody and he didn't come through with it because he was gang affiliated. So basically, my dad was locked up all of my life, pretty much. He spent all of his years in prison. He's now 50 years old. He barely got released. It's probably been like 8 months now. So he's been out of prison for 8 months, which is kind of long for him, to be honest, because he didn't used to stay out long. But anyway, so growing up without a father, it was hard for me because I didn't have that daddy-daughter relationship that everybody desires. I didn't have my daddy to take me to the father-daughter dances. When people would have their parents come to the school, I would see daughters or sons with their dads, and all I had was my mom. And it hurt because I wanted a dad too, but I didn't have one. Most of the relationship with my dad was when he was behind bars. So, the only thing I got to see was pictures of him in a prison suit. I would get to see him in person. We would do food visits, or I would talk to him on the phone. But it wasn't the same as being able to interact with your daddy, as being able to cry on his shoulder when you got hurt, or when you fell in love for the first time, get to tell your daddy that, or got your heart broken for the first time, getting to cry in his arms. I didn't get any of that. I didn't get any of the fatherly discipline. I didn't get any of the father-daughter love, that compassion, that unbreakable bond. I didn't get that because my daddy was never around. A lot of the hurt that I suffered because of this, I will be writing a book about it. I've already started writing what the chapters are going to be called. It's going to be 10 chapters. I am not sure if I want to do full poetry, if I want to do writing and poetry, which I think that's what I'm leaning towards. But the book is going to be called Tainted Love. So I'm already in the process of writing that. I'm not going to make this video too long, but I did suffer a lot of hurt from not having him in my life, from having him in and out, and from the things that he did. I'll go into that a little bit more. So when people go to prison, they tend to lie a lot. When they're in prison, it's called prison talk, because they make you all these promises and they tell you what they're going to do when they get out, and they feed you with all this fairy tale stuff that's going to happen. And with me, I know all about prison talk, but it was coming from somebody that I love from the bottom of my heart. So my daddy being 50 years old now, I was thinking that he would be ready to change this time around of him getting out. So when he fed me the prison talk, I thought he was being real. He was telling me, oh, I'm a grandfather now. I want to be there for my grandkids. I want to have a relationship with you. I just want to do the right thing. I want to get a job. I want to settle down, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. It turned out to all be prison talk. I bragged about this man. I told my pastor about this man. I told everybody how amazing he was and how excited I was to have a relationship with him. And it ended up making me look foolish. But let me tell you guys something. I was listening to something. I don't know if I said this on my last video, but I was listening to something where the gentleman was saying basically, it's okay to give somebody chances. It's okay to give somebody a second chance because he's a believer of second chances. But after that, it's your own decision. It's your own choice. If you continue to accept somebody's bullcrap or continue to give somebody chances, that's your own choice to do that. So if you get hurt in the long run, you chose to get hurt. It was you that chose to get hurt. So I chose to get hurt because I continued to give him chance after chance, even though I know that he wasn't ready to do the right thing. Though I did put my trust in him this time around, the Bible says never to put your trust in man. Man will always fail you. They will always hurt you. So I should have been so buried and consumed in God that I didn't even care about what he said. Whether he lied or whether he told the truth, that's his own salvation. And I should have just not even cared and did it moving. But I put my heart into it. I put my trust in man, and I ended up hurt. Whose fault was it? Mine. I take full responsibility for that. Though he did play a role, he did lie, he did deceive me. At the end of the day, I chose to believe those lies. I chose not to test the spirit. When we are believers, when we are walking with the Lord, we are supposed to test the spirit and see if it lines up with our Father, see if it lines up with God. What he was saying did not line up with God, didn't line up with the Bible, because in the end, this man was not serving and walking with the Lord. So it was me, my flesh, that chose to believe this man that was not even walking right. That's on me, because I didn't test the spirit. I can't even really be mad at him because in the end, it was my fault. But all I gotta say is, going back to the topic, growing up without a father, it was real hard, with those situations where you needed to have the sex talk. I didn't get that. I didn't get the sex talk. So ultimately, I didn't have a dad to talk to me about guys, to talk to me about how guys are and how they fill your head with all this bull crap and just have you falling into sin that you shouldn't even be falling into. I didn't have that. I didn't have that father to put his foot down and tell me, no, this is my daughter. You're not about to be making this decision. I didn't have my father to where my husband had to come to my father and ask for my hand in marriage. I didn't have that because my daddy was locked up. Didn't even have my daddy to say if he approved or disapproved of me getting married, and did he approve or disapprove of the person. I did not have that. So all of the proms and everything, father-daughter dances, all of that, I never got to have that. I never know. Two of my siblings grew up with stepfathers. I didn't grow up with a stepfather. So the only thing I knew was him. But at the end of the day, I am now 21 years old. I'm now 30 years old. 21 in the spirit. It's all about how you feel. Okay? I'm 21. But I'm now 30 years old, and at this point in my life, I do not have to take anybody's mess. I don't have to tolerate anybody's mess. I don't have to tolerate hurt. I don't have to choose to be hurt. At this point in my life, I am making the decision to be happy. I am making the decision to be joyous. I am making the decisions to be so consumed in God that what that man does not even bother me. I went through a point where I was depressed about all of I had a lot of expectations, I'll say that. I expected so much out of him, and that's my fault for expecting something from a man. But I did. And I was hurt from the expectations that I made not being fulfilled. I was hurt because I put my trust in this man and he broke my trust. I was hurt because this was my first love as a male. My first love was God. That's always my first love. It's always going to be my first love. But my first manly love was my daddy. And I was hurt that the man that I first loved was the man to break my heart so bad. I ain't never had my heart broken so bad like I had my heart broken with my daddy. Period. I was hurt that I put my heart into a man and that man destroyed my heart. A person will destroy you without even trying to destroy you. They just don't know anything else but destructive behavior. And that's all he's known. And I suffered for that. I don't know about my other brothers and sisters. I don't know about how much pain and trauma they went through. But I went through a lot because I loved this man. Like, I was down for him. I was there with him. I was riding with him. When he was locked up, I was visiting him. I was taking his calls. I didn't choose to give up on him, but he got up and he gave up on himself. So eventually I had to give up on him too. I couldn't keep holding hands with him when he's letting my hand go. I couldn't keep holding on to him and pulling him towards me where he was pushing me back. I couldn't allow my heart to keep getting broken when he's still living his life, enjoying his life, doing what he want to do, and I'm sitting up in a room crying and hurt and doing stuff that I'm not supposed to be doing. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'll be fully transparent. I was so hurt by him. Y'all know I love the Lord. But I was so hurt by him that I wasn't taking care of me. I wasn't taking care of self. I didn't care about self. I was drinking. I was drinking wine, and I didn't even care because I was hurt. And that was suppressing my pain for the moment. But let me tell you something. It was momentary. Because after that night of drinking that wine and engaging in that sin, you know what happened? I woke up the next morning and I still had to face the fact that I was hurt. I was still hurting. I was still having the same thoughts. Nothing changed. So you know what? A lot of people, they try to drink and they try to smoke and they try to do drugs to suppress that pain that they've gone through from somebody or something or some traumatic thing that happened in their life, and it does not work. Because honey, you still got to deal with it. You still got to wake up and realize that pain is not gone. That is not how you deal with your pain. You give it to God. You give it to the one that can heal you from the inside out, the only one that can heal you. You don't go to the alcohol. You don't go to drugs. That stuff is not going to do nothing but damage you. So I did that. And I'm not afraid to admit that I did that because somebody probably needs to hear this. So it's probably somebody that has an alcohol bottle in their hand right now just because they're hurting and they're about to drink it, and they hear this and they put it down and they get on their knees and they pray. I want you to be better than me, and I want you to do something that I didn't do. Have I repented for what I did? I did. Have I been forgiven for what I did? I have. Am I still loved by the Lord? Truly. But I just want you to know that that stuff does not help. It doesn't help at all. It actually hurts you more because you feel like, dang, I shouldn't even did that. I sinned. I hurt the Lord. I put my hurt before my God. And what did I get out of it? Still woke up with the same broken heart. Tell you guys something. This is not even what the message is about, but let me tell you something. Choose to put yourself first. Make sure you put yourself first. Don't ever let anybody drag you through the dirt so bad that you decide to do other things in order to suppress that pain. You are way too important. You are worthy of the best. And if somebody can't see that, if somebody wants to belittle you or treat you less than you are worth, they are not worthy of being in your life. They are not worthy of being in your circle. Have I been hurt a lot from not having a daddy in my life? Yes, I have. But God did it for a reason. Maybe with having him there, I wouldn't be the strong person that I am today. I wouldn't have went through the things that I went through to be able to help the next sister or brother if they are going through something that's similar. If they're going through something that they're struggling to get past. I may not be able to help them if I wouldn't have went through what I went through. So, yeah, it was hurtful. Yeah, some things happened. Yeah, I experienced some things that I probably wouldn't have experienced. But would I be the same shy? Would I be the same beauty in bars today if I wouldn't have went through it? I don't know. So the Lord does everything for a reason. Some people's lives are not glorious as others. Some people look like they live the most beautiful lives, but honey, the beauty really lies in the hurt and getting through that struggle and that triumph that you went through. There's a beautiful person on the end. There's a virtuous, powerful, elegant person that lies on the end. But you have to grow through it. You have to sometimes go through those deeper waters that seem to swallow you whole in order to get to that beautiful person. In order to meet that person. Did I ever think that I was going to be the person I am today? I used to use my shyness as an excuse all the time. I used to say, oh, I'm shy. Oh, I'm not a good speaker. Oh my gosh. Like, that was my main excuses. Like, I was like, wow, I don't think I'll ever be able to speak to people. I don't ever think I'll be able to speak in front of people. I don't never think I'll be motivational to anybody because I'm so shy. Like, I get so nervous in front of people. People don't even know that I was ever that person anymore. They don't even know. Like, I was literally on an open mic and I was telling them that I was shy and they couldn't believe it. So, in sum, I just want to tell you guys that we don't need to stay in a place to where we keep reflecting on the past things or reflecting on who we used to be or reflecting on our hurt and our pain, because that tends to keep us in the same place. It's all about growth, especially in these days. We're in 2020 right now, almost going into 2021. If you are not growing at this point, then I don't know what to tell you, because we are in days where there is no time to be moving slow. Honey, I'm on the ball and I'm going somewhere. And anybody that's going to hold me back from that greatness that I am getting to, that I am growing to, they can stay behind. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie Left Behind, but so many people about to be left behind in 2021 because I am a different person now. I'm not about to tolerate anybody's mess. I'm not about to tolerate pain. I'm not about to tolerate anybody telling me what I cannot do. When the Lord says I can do all things, I am not about to tolerate anybody that's going to belittle me or hold me back. They better get on the train or get off of it, because growth is in this season and nothing less than it. So know that if you've been through something, you lived that story. You conquered that trial. And now look at it Continue to move forward and do not look back. Stop staying in that place where you are dwelling on the hurt, because it's not going to do anything that you need it to do. All it's going to do is hold you back from the promises that God has for you. This has been From Damaged to Driven. From damaged to driven. Thank you guys for tuning in to Soul Water Saturdays, where your soul never thirsts. It is beauty and bars in the nighttime scary story chronicles. I love you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you so much for liking, for subscribing, for sharing. I appreciate all your support. I appreciate the views. I appreciate y'all listening to me. I appreciate y'all just rolling with me. Continue to roll for 2021, because Beauty and Bars has some great, amazing, wonderful things coming up. I'm not going to share just yet. We just going to watch and see. Continue to ride this train, baby, because this train is going somewhere. I love you guys so much. Hit that bell for notifications on the next video. I will be talking with you guys soon, and stay tuned to see what the next adventure will be. Bye.
That you love me, so I'm feeling good. Say but not soft, you get that understood. God got me doing things I never would.